The studio that afternoon was filled with bright spotlights, bouncing on the faces of the performers of the latest up-and-coming drama. The chairs are neatly arranged, with a large backdrop bearing the title of the play. In the middle of that crowd, Zhang Linghe and Zhao Jinmai sat side by side. At first, the atmosphere was normal. The host of the event greeted excitedly, the camera panned left and right. However, one thing escapes the stage setting: the gaze. Since the beginning of the interview, Zhang Linghe seemed to glance frequently at Zhao Jinmai. Not just a glance. The gaze is deep, gentle, as if full of meaning that cannot be masked. Every time their eyes met, Zhao Jinmai spontaneously smiled a little, trying to hold back so that her cheeks would not turn red in front of the camera. The host caught the moment. "Lingi, you seem to be staring at Jinmai a lot. Is there a special reason?" asked the host in a seductive tone. Zhang Linghe was silent for a split second, smiled stiffly, then replied, "Ah, no. Just a coincidence. We're acting together a lot, so it's just a reflex." However, the camera has already photographed the gaze. Fans who watched the live stream immediately crowded in the comments. "Look. His gaze was clearly no coincidence. Zhang Linghe can't lie. It's a gaze full of taste. Jinmai smile. Fix there is something. A smile that cannot be hidden." The interview continues. Question after question is given, from the story behind the shooting to their funny experiences on location. Zhao Jinmai replied cheerfully, hands occasionally moving along the story. But on the other hand, Zhang Linghe continued to watch her. His gaze was warm, as if the world around him no longer existed. In fact, when the host asked her the same thing, she briefly lost focus. "Lingi, have you ever had a funny moment on set?" asked the host. He paused, then quickly shifted his eyes. "Ah, yes. There is. At that time, I almost took the wrong property. But Jinmai is quick to awaken," he replied. His sentence was simple, but the way he said Zhao Jinmai's name in a soft tone made the atmosphere different. Jinmai looked down, as if holding back an embarrassed smile. The camera captured it clearly. Fans at home in hysterics. The way she says Jinmai's name is so different, so sweet. If gazes can kill, Zhang Linghe has already made us all melt. Caught on camera. The peak of tension occurs when the close-up camera alternately highlights the faces of each player. As it was Zhao Jinmai's turn to speak at length, the camera silently caught the expression of Zhang Linghe, who was staring at her without blinking. The look is not just professional. There is tenderness, there is admiration, and there is something deeper. As if he had forgotten he was in front of dozens of cameras. The host smiled mischievously, aware the camera was already showing that expression. "Lingi, you seem to be very focused when Jinmai speaks?" Lingi was startled, cleared his throat a little, then replied, "Yeah, because I like listening to him. Jinmai can always make a story come alive." This time, no one can deny it. Even Zhao Jinmai himself could only chuckle a little while covering his face with his hands. Her cheeks flushed clearly, indicating nervousness that could not be covered. Body language that betrays. Throughout the interview, it wasn't just Zhang Linghe's gaze that stole the show. His body language also speaks. Every time Zhao Jinmai spoke, his body automatically leaned slightly towards the girl. His hands sometimes moved involuntarily, as if to make sure Jinmai felt comfortable. On the other hand, Jinmai also showed subtle signs. He often glanced briefly at Lingi, then hurriedly averted his eyes. Every time their eyes met, the two chuckled a little, creating an atmosphere different from the other performers on the stage. The crew behind the camera glanced at each other, realizing the chemistry was too natural. Trapping questions. The hosts are getting bolder. If, for example, you were asked to explain one of the most special things about your opponent, what would you say? Zhao Jinmai replied first. "Lingi is a considerate person, though sometimes unconscious. He likes to pretend to be indifferent, but actually cares." Lingi heard that with shining eyes. He stared at Jinmai longer than usual, until the host had to call his name twice. Lingi, it's your turn. What is the most special about Jinmai? Lingi took a deep breath, then smiled faintly. He's always been himself. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about her. Those words made the room suddenly silent for a moment. Everyone, even the crew, felt the atmosphere change to be warmer. Zhao Jinmai also looked shocked, then could only look down with an embarrassed smile. Splashy fans. As soon as the interview ended, the video snippet of Zhang Linghe's gaze instantly spread on social media. Hashtags like hashtag Tadapan Lingi Kujinmai and hashtag Lingi Jinmai moment were trending within hours. Netizens' comments also appeared. I don't need any other proof. That gaze is clear enough. Fix is not acting, it's real. If they say they're just friends, we don't believe them anymore. Confusing clarification. The next day, Zhang Linghe was asked by reporters about the viral moment. He smiled calmly, then answered, "That look. I was just listening seriously. It's okay to focus on my game." However, his expression when answering couldn't hide anything. The not smile on the tip of his lips only strengthened the fans' speculation. Meanwhile, Zhao Jinmai preferred silence. In a short interview, he simply said, "Lingi is indeed a good partner. I'm grateful to be working with him." A safe answer, but the look in his eyes that lit up at the mention of Lingi's name again made the public wonder. Togetherness behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, their closeness becomes more apparent. Some leaked photos from the crew show Lingi and Jinmai sitting side by side, sharing earphones, or laughing together while waiting for their turn to shoot. Fans were more and more convinced. Lingi's gaze at the interview was just the tip of the iceberg of their closeness. Secrets between the lines. Many believe that behind simple words, there are unspoken feelings. Zhang Linghe might never have been blatant, but his gaze at Zhao Jinmai was the most honest language of the heart. A look that can't lie. A gaze that is understood only by the one who feels it. The look that holds the answer. In the end, the interview became one of the most memorable moments in the course of both. Not because of the sweet words spoken, but rather because of Zhang Linghe's gaze that spoke more truthfully than 1,000 sentences. Zhao Jinmai knows, the fans know, even Zhang Linghe himself is probably aware. There is something more than just colleagues. Something that can't be said, but feels real. A feeling that quietly grew, clearly recorded in front of the camera, and is now a secret that is shared with millions of eyes that witness it. That look can't lie.